Athletes have died on the first day of August due to heat.
These are NFL moments that were really heartbreaking. Some of these hit right in the feels, others are just straight up gut punches. Like this story about DeAndre Hopkins and his #1 fan who couldn't see him after a shocking incident. We're talking about his mom, Sabrina Greenlee. DeAndre's mother played a huge role in forming his life as an NFL player since childhood. Sabrina raised DeAndre and his 3 siblings. DeAndre's emotional story came after his mom was burned alive. It was July 20th, 2002. DeAndre's mom was in an argument with her boyfriend. Then a woman showed up with a cup of liquid and threw it at DeAndre's mom. At first, she thought it was hot water or something. Then the next thing she felt was intense pain. Her skin started to fall of the side of her face. She started to lose her sight almost immediately. Turns out it was acid. This did immense damage to her. Her only chance was to be treated at a burn center by a specialist. We can't show any pic of her face on YouTube due to obvious reasons. But to give context, she had to spend a month in the hospital in a coma. Luckily, she survived. But this incident changed her and DeAndre's life forever. This dark moment sure did damage DeAndre and his mom's life, but it didn't stop DeAndre there. He used this tragedy as motivation to excel and do better in life for himself and his mom. So after finishing college football, he was projected for the NFL, where he was a first-round pick. From there on, it was only the road to glory. Despite him knowing his mother is unable to witness his performances, he still continued to bring her game after game. After every touchdown or any kind of score, he'd bring the ball to his mother's hands just so she could feel the success of her son. A son dedicating everything to his mother is the peak of any emotional story. Moving on to another story that is every bit as emotional as the first one. We're talking about the birth of T.Y. Hilton's daughter and how it became the most emotional moment in Hilton's life. Just a few hours before T.Y. was supposed to play in a big game, his wife was in labor at the hospital and eventually gave birth to their daughter Gigi. Amidst such a big moment in his life, T.Y. still wasn't about to let down his team, so he rushed to the game. But before that, he promised to his newborn daughter that he was going to dedicate the game to her. So you can understand he had very high expectations to live up to, and he did what he said he was going to do. Not only did he eventually score a 73-yard touchdown, he celebrated by honoring his daughter. What a moment to witness. It's heartbreaking to leave such a precious moment for a game, but to actually win and dedicate the game to that very precious moment is really emotional. Let's move on to another NFL moment that's so heartbreaking. Not only did it break hearts of countless fans, but it also forced a player to straight up disappear. We're talking about January 21st, 2024. The Bills had a playoff match against the Chiefs, and the winner was going to have a chance to be in the AFC Championship. Looking back at history, the Chiefs have ended the Bills' playoff run multiple times in a row at this point, but this time, the game being at their own home turf, fans thought things were going to be different. The game went on. It was intense for both sides. Everyone gave their very best, and crowds were in complete awe the whole time. But in the end, the Bills were down 3 points and didn't have much time left on the clock. This was a crucial moment for the Buffalo Bills. The game, the fans, the season, even some of their careers were depending on this very play. Everything lined up for an easy chance to tie the game. But at that moment, kicker Tyler Bass misses an easy shot. It was a basic kick that he practiced 1,000 times by now. To miss such a kick, not only did it left the whole team heartbroken, but also left the fans speechless. The game wasn't over, but the fans realized the inevitable outcome by then. The Chiefs ran out the clock to win the game. They said their goodbyes in a sarcastic way.
No, ultimately, completely on me. I got to do a better job of, getting through to my target. I got to do a better job of playing a little bit more left when you have a left to right. I've been here long enough to know that, you have to do that. I was trusting my line, what I had in warm-ups, and hit a good ball, but it didn't work out, and so.
Fans of the Buffalo Bills were in disbelief. They were in tears after this game. We've seen the fans getting heartbroken, but what about the man who missed that kick? Tyler Bass? It's as expected. He was also crushed by that moment, with fans throwing so much hate at him after the match. Some even started sending death threats online. This made Tyler so emotional that he deactivated all of his social media accounts. The dude just completely disappeared after that incident. I hope he's doing better now, because sometimes getting far away from the social media life is what most of us actually need at times like this. This next one is different, because how many times have you heard about a pair of shoes being the center of an emotional story? It may not mean much to most people, but to Stefon Diggs and one of his biggest fans, it means the world. Aiden Laborde, a young boy who loves Stefon and football. His love for football came from his dad, who was actually dealing with a brain issue. When he was being taken to the hospital, sadly, passed away. This heartbreaking incident quickly became such a trending topic that it even caught the eyes of Stefon. It reminded him of the time when he lost his father too, at a young age due to a similar incident. Stefon's father was also dealing with a condition that eventually costed him his life, leaving Stefon to grow up without a father. This pain resonated with him when he saw the news of little Aiden's dad passing away. What Stefon did next was heart-touching. He invited Aiden to show up to his training camp. Aiden showed up to his practice, where he was gifted a new football and got Stefon to sign his jersey. This beautiful gesture was nothing compared to what Stefon did next. He gave free tickets to Aiden and his family to their first game before Christmas. Before the game, Stefon gave Aiden something that brought the little fella right to tears immediately. Look at that! Stefon gave Aiden a pair of special shoes. What made them special? He got Aiden shoes that were not only Bills-themed Air Force Ones, they had hand-painted picture of Aiden with his dad and the words, "I love you," written on them. Stefon shared this beautiful moment on his social media, and it became one of the most heartwarming things on the internet. Really, this had to be a one-of-a-kind Christmas for little Aiden and his family. The family afterwards made a video, thanking him for this special moment. It's heartbreaking for Aiden to lose his father at such a young age, but sometimes it's beautiful how life gifts something precious in return for such a loss. In this case, Stefon Diggs was the one to bring that gift to Aiden and his family. He really changed the life of people that he didn't even know. Moving on to the next one, it was January 2nd of 2023. Two of the NFL's best teams, the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, were up against each other that day. The outcome of this very game would alter the entire playoff landscape. The stake was the #1 seed in the AFC. In other words, the only team to receive a first-round bye and hold home field advantage for the entire postseason. These two teams have been charging through the ranks for months. The game was going great. At the first quarter, Bengals had the ball and Joe Burrow passes to Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins, who was running the ball, hit Demar Hamlin, the 24-year-old safety, in the chest with his helmet during the play. Hamlin dragged Higgins down to the ground. Just as Higgins was about to make a run, Demar Hamlin had him with the tackle. Everything appears all right at first look, but moments later, the game is stopped immediately with the blow of a whistle. Within seconds of the incident, medics and athletic trainers swarm the scene. Both teams surround him in shock. The audience try to grasp the gravity of the situation. The once energetic atmosphere of the field turned into complete silence within these moments. The game was officially postponed due to this incident. An hour after the incident, reports from the hospital said that Demar actually had suffered cardiac arrest on the field. Very heartbreaking moment for all fans. But this moment created a unity among people we've never seen before. First of all, huge respect was shown from fans and teams. Every single team showed support during warm-ups by wearing Love for Demar shirts, a gesture that shows how passionate and respectful one can be during a sport. In the final game of the regular season, the Buffalo players entered the field with shirts, caps, flags that show support to fellow teammate Demar Hamlin. The stadium was full of supportive fans. Also, the medical team that responded to Demar's collapse is honored right before kickoff. The New England Patriots win the coin toss. The Bills received the opening kickoff. Then Nyheim Hines took it past midfield and down the sideline. It doesn't stop there. The best part is Demar watched all of this unfold live on TV while he was at the hospital. The Bills brought home the victory 35-23. Demar's ongoing health update was up to date thanks to social media. Support came from families, friends, fans, and also major figures outside the NFL realm. Since that night, the world had the opportunity to witness one of the most heartbreaking moments in the NFL history, which evolved into one of the biggest chain of events. If you're enjoying this video so far, click on that like button. Now let's continue. This next one is a horrific tragedy that took place almost a decade ago. February 17th, 2011, Dave Duerson was found dead at his home on Sunny Isles Beach, Florida. A tragic day in the pages of NFL history. Dave Duerson's life was a tapestry of triumphs and challenges, marked by both athletic excellence and personal struggles. He was at the top of his game on field. He was excelling at his various business ventures off field as well. However, despite his outward success, Duerson faced internal struggles that would ultimately overshadow his achievements. Like many former NFL players, Duerson also contended with the physical toll of the game, experiencing symptoms commonly associated with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE, a degenerative brain condition linked to repeated head trauma. Tragically, on February 17, 2011, Duerson's life came to a sudden and heartbreaking end when he took his own life. Duerson's case served as a sobering reminder of the risks associated with contact sports and sparked renewed efforts to address player safety and concussion protocols in professional football. On May 2, 2011, neurologists at Boston University confirmed that Duerson had CTE, which is caused by repeated hits to the head. He was one of at least 345 NFL players to be diagnosed after death with this disease. It's a fact that remained overlooked at the time. Over the years, there has been many cases of CTE-diagnosed players. Most of them remained unsolved. One thing is certain, NFL is a sport which is not to be taken lightly. From bone-crushing tackles, fumbles, and whatnot, many players are left with such injuries that cost them dearly afterwards in life. Despite the tragic circumstances of his death, Dave Duerson's legacy endures as a testament to the complexities of the human experience. He was a man of extraordinary talent and resilience, whose contributions to the game of football will be remembered for generations to come. This next one is a stark reminder of a very tragic event.
Way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
September 11th, 2001 was a day that changed the world forever. The terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. brought the United States to a standstill. Amid the tragedy, the NFL, like many other organizations, paused its activities. The games scheduled for the weekend following the attacks were postponed, marking one of the few times in history that the NFL had suspended its operations. When the league resumed play on September 23, 2001, it was not just about football. It was about healing, unity, and resilience. Among the most poignant matchups that week was the game between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots, held at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, just miles away from Ground Zero. The Meadowlands was filled with an atmosphere unlike any other. The usually boisterous crowd carried a somber, reflective mood, tempered by the gravity of recent events. Fans from both teams came together, displaying a remarkable sense of solidarity. Many wore shirts and hats bearing the American flag, while others held signs paying tribute to the victims and first responders. Before the game, a moment of silence was observed, during which you could hear a pin drop. It was a powerful collective pause to honor those who had lost their lives and those who had risked everything to save others. As the national anthem played, sung by a local choir, tears streamed down the faces of players and fans alike. The sight of American flags waving in the stands, held by thousands of hands united in grief and determination, was unforgettable. When the game began, it was evident that this was more than just a contest between two AFC East rivals. The players on both sides seemed to understand that they were playing for something bigger than themselves. They were playing for their city, their country, and the spirit of unity that had emerged from the ashes of tragedy. The game itself was hard-fought and intense. Emotions ran high on every play, with players channeling their feelings of loss, anger, and hope into their performance on the field. The Patriots and Jets both played with a visible intensity and passion, reflecting the collective resilience of their fans and the nation. One of the most emotional moments came during a break in the first quarter, when the stadium's video screen showed images of first responders and tributes to the victims of the 9/11 attacks. The crowd erupted in chants, "USA! USA!" The players stood on the sidelines, many with hands over their hearts, visibly moved by the tribute. The Jets ultimately won the game 10-3, but the score was secondary to the message of the day. The game served as a healing moment for many, a way to move forward while remembering the past. It was a reminder that sports can serve as a powerful unifying force, capable of bringing people together in the most challenging of times. Players from both teams spoke afterward about the emotional weight of the game. Many players visited Ground Zero in the days following the game, further connecting with the community and offering their support. The game between the Jets and the Patriots after 9/11 was more than just a football game. It was a symbol of resilience, unity, and hope. It demonstrated the power of sports to bring people together, to heal, and to provide a sense of normalcy and solidarity in the face of unimaginable tragedy. The next story is about Chris Henry, who was a talented wide receiver that played for the Cincinnati Bengals. During his time in the NFL, Henry showcased flashes of brilliance. He was known for his deep threat ability and had a promising start to his professional career. However, his career was also marred by off-field issues, including multiple arrests and suspensions related to conduct violations. Despite these challenges, Henry appeared to be turning his life around in the years leading up to his tragic death. On December 16, 2009, tragedy struck. Events leading to Chris Henry's death were both shocking and heartbreaking. On that day, Henry was involved in a domestic dispute with his fiancée, Lolani Tonga. The argument escalated, and Tonga drove away from their home in Charlotte, North Carolina in a pickup truck. Henry, in an apparent attempt to stop her, jumped into the bed of the truck as she drove off. According to reports, Henry was not securely positioned in the truck bed and was banging on the back window, pleading with Tonga to stop. As the truck sped through a residential neighborhood, Henry either fell or was thrown from the vehicle. He landed on the street with severe injuries. Emergency services were called immediately, and Henry was rushed to Carolina's medical center. Despite the best efforts of medical personnel, he succumbed to his injuries. He was just 26 years old. The official cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. The news of Henry's death sent shockwaves through the NFL community and beyond. Teammates, coaches, and fans mourned the loss of a player who, despite his troubled past, was working hard to turn his life around. The Bengals organization expressed deep sorrow, and tributes poured in from across the league. In the aftermath, Lolani Tonga faced scrutiny and grief. The authorities conducted a thorough investigation and ruled Henry's death as accidental. No charges were filed against Tonga, as it was determined that there was no intent to cause harm. Before his untimely death, Henry had shown significant personal growth. He had become a father and was deeply committed to his family. Henry's teammates and coaches often remarked on his progress and how he was beginning to realize his potential both on and off the field. His relationship with Lolani Tonga and their children was a source of happiness for him, and he was looking forward to a brighter future. His death remains a heartbreaking chapter in NFL history, symbolizing the untold stories of personal battles behind the glamorous facade of professional sports. Now let's move on to another heartbreaking NFL moment. This isn't just another heartbreaking story in NFL history. It only happened because someone got shot. Quan Alexander got his motivation to become an NFL player from his lifelong best friend, his younger brother Broderick Taylor Jr. The constant support from his little brother always pushed him to excel. All he wanted was his brother to watch him grow as an NFL player. That magic moment was supposed to happen during his rookie season when Quan's team was traveling to Atlanta for a game. His family was excited to go to this match as their home was not very far from the stadium. As excited the family was, though, before the game, Quan's brother was at a house party. This is where things took a dark turn. Quan received a call from his mom. After hearing his brother passed away, Quan lost all sense of the world.
He was trying to come home then, and I just told him to just hold on, because we didn't know what the outcome of it was gonna be.
I got that call, and I said he was gone. I was like, nah, coach, I'm gonna play, because I know he'll want me to play.
This heartbreaking tragedy shook Quan to his core, but ultimately, Quan decided something even more powerful. He decided to use all that pain and step up his game even further, because he knew that's what his brother would have wanted him to do. This heartbreaking tragedy shook Quan to his core, but ultimately, Quan decided something even more powerful. He decided to use all that pain and step up his game even further, because he knew that's what his brother would have wanted him to do. Quan got ready for the game. As he was preparing, his teammates noticed the stress and the pain in his eyes. Quan knew deep within that his little brother was looking down at him the whole time, so he dedicated the game to his brother, making it an unforgettable night for everyone. This was literally the best game of his life. He helped his squad to victory, and once an emotion-fueled Quan now turned into a bundle of undying energy. He broke down to tears, definitely missing his baby brother, wishing he was there to celebrate the victory with him. Even in the locker room, he was in tears, but the squad cheered him up and honored him with the ball. Quan knew this moment was bigger than him. He knew all of this glory was for his brother. Later, at the time of the funeral, Quan did something that was no doubt heartbreaking. Loved ones pass away, but their memories are what keeps us going forward. And now on to our last heartbreaking NFL moment. Cory Stringer was a talented offensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. Stringer displayed remarkable athleticism from a young age. In 1995, the Minnesota Vikings selected him in the first round of the NFL draft, 24th overall. Standing 6'4" and weighing over 330 pounds, Stringer was known for his size, strength, and agility, making him a formidable presence on the offensive line. By the 2000 season, Stringer had earned a Pro Bowl selection, highlighting his status as one of the best offensive tackles in the league. Off the field, he was known for his jovial personality, commitment to his teammates, and deep love for his family. The summer of 2001 was brutally hot, and NFL teams across the country were beginning their training camps. On July 30th, 2001, the Minnesota Vikings were conducting their second day of full pads practice at their training camp in Mankato, Minnesota. The temperature soared above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and the humidity made conditions even more oppressive. During the practice session, Stringer struggled with the intense heat. He exhibited signs of distress, including heavy sweating and difficulty keeping up with the rigorous drills. Despite these warning signs, he continued to push through the practice, determined to meet the demands of the training camp. As practice ended, Stringer's condition worsened. He complained of feeling lightheaded and dizzy, and eventually collapsed on the field. Team trainers rushed to his aid, and he was immediately transported to the Emmanuel St. Joseph's Mayo Health System Hospital in Mankato. Despite the medical staff's best efforts, Stringer's body temperature had risen to a dangerous level, and he was suffering from severe heat stroke. Stringer was admitted to the hospital in critical condition. Doctors and medical personnel worked tirelessly to stabilize him, but the damage caused by the heat stroke was extensive. His organs began to fail, and he slipped into a coma. Tragically, despite all efforts to save him, Cory Stringer passed away early in the morning on August 1st, 2001. He was just 27 years old. His passing highlighted the dangers of heat-related illnesses and the need for better safety protocols during extreme weather conditions. The Vikings organization, teammates, and fans were devastated by the loss of a beloved player and friend. His widow, Kelsey Stringer, along with their son, faced unimaginable grief.
The agent filed a lawsuit against the NFL. In 2007, they settled with an agreement to create an institute that works to protect athletes.
Recognize that today is a very special day because we're announcing the Cory Stringer Institute of the University of Connecticut.
The institute was created to prevent sudden death in sports. KSI develops policies and education for the safety of those athletes and helps athletic departments be proactive rather than reactive. The Institute's work is now the healthcare standard for athletic trainers.
In the wake of her husband's death, Kelsey Stringer became an advocate for player safety and worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the dangers of heat stroke. She founded the Cory Stringer Institute at the University of Connecticut, dedicated to the prevention of sudden death in sports, with a focus on heat-related illnesses. Cory Stringer's death prompted the NFL to reevaluate and enhance its approach to player safety, particularly concerning heat exposure and training camp practices. New guidelines and protocols were implemented to ensure better monitoring of players' health during extreme heat, including mandatory water breaks, the presence of medical staff during practices, and limits on the duration and intensity of practice sessions in high temperatures. Cory Stringer's legacy is remembered not just for his contributions on the field, but also for the profound impact his death had on player safety in the NFL and beyond. The changes inspired by his tragic passing have helped protect countless athletes from similar fates. His dedication, work ethic, and infectious smile left an indelible mark on those who knew him. Each year, as the NFL season begins, the memory of Cory Stringer serves as a poignant reminder of the ongoing need to protect the health and well-being of athletes at all levels of competition. The NFL changed, but at the cost of a heartbreaking loss. These heartbreaking moments remind us that life is uncertain at all times. Life can take a very dark turn at any given moment. It can also bring something precious out of that darkness. What matters is, we must develop the strength and courage to push forward, even with all the pain life is throwing at us. Certain goals might not be achieved. Many loved ones might pass away, but we have to keep going forward. That's it for today. What was the most heartbreaking NFL moment in your opinion? Let us know in the comments down below. If you're new to this channel, click on that bell icon to be notified about our latest videos. And as always, stay tuned with NFL Insider.